Good afternoon, East Tennessee. It's Monday, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and we've reached the middle of the day. Hopefully by now you've had something fall from the sky, right? That kind of covers it all. Some of you had all snow, some of you had a little bit of snow and then a mix. And right around 10 o'clock, it started to turn pink on the radar, and I suspected we had a little bit of a mix. But I can tell you this, we're going to make this as casual as a live stream can be, because I want to include more pictures from you on the David Aldrich Weather Group, which was always designed for spotter pictures. And I've got quite a few coming from you just this last hour, just in the last few minutes. Some of them have been coming in, some videos, some pictures, so I want to share that with you. As I hit the refresh button, you'll see here that I do believe we have a picture right off the top from Felicia. Felicia Moyer-Sexton says, snow really coming down in South Knoxville. She says, I was out at 9:30. I think she was grabbing some Weigel's coffee, she told me, and there's about now 4 inches where my tire tracks were behind my car. Thank you, Felicia, for that update. So we're getting some good updates there. If you got some pictures, let me know. I'd love to see them. I scroll down a little bit further. I got a few extra people who've jumped on the page. We now have over 9,155 people now on this group page. 27,000 on the other page, so it just keeps overperforming. We got a house in Kingston from Hallie Gibson. She's one of our premium members. She's got a lot of snow, it looks like, across the area. And then further south, further down on the timeline, Kathy Muller, one of our premium members, has a great picture of Del Rio. She said she has about 1 inch so far. That was an hour ago. I believe she's got a Captain Accurate coffee mug. How sweet is that? It's pretty sweet. I think that's kind of cool. But I'd love to know what you are seeing. Are you sensing at this hour that the weather is kind of in full gear? Because if you were in snow denial mode, thinking, well, I'll believe it when I see it, well, maybe now you've seen it. Maybe a little bit, right? And we're probably at the halfway point because we still have the second half of the afternoon, and it'll go into the dessert mode this evening. So later tonight, the intensity will drop off a little bit. Here's what it looks like over the last 6 hours. Just pick your favorite town or area. Well, if you're near the foothills, it's changed over to a mix. But it's probably been nothing but snow for Oak Ridge, maybe Farragut, Hardin Valley, areas up toward Fountain City. And even now South Knoxville. Felicia's saying it's now all snow. And as I mentioned, the mix is going to ebb and flow. It's going to come and go. And that's why if it wasn't there, we probably would have 10 or 11 inches of snow. But I still think the 4 to 8 is decent. I think it's a good forecast. I don't like to pull the plug on a forecast when you're still in the middle of the event. No more than you declare a victor at halftime during a football game. You got to play the second half. So we got to play the second half. A lot of people have been asking me, even on the premium side. It's like, oh, are you changing the forecast? Because I'm hearing on the radio. Don't do that. Don't do that. Just if I make a change, I'll make a big announcement. And if you're on premium, you'll be the first to hear about it. But this fire hose of snow coming up from just north of Tupelo. Look how dark blue that is. North of Tupelo, Mississippi. You know Mississippi's just geared for snow. They're a snow state. No, they're not. That's ridiculous. Is that your attempt at humor? Yeah, it is. That's my attempt at humor. Northern Mississippi getting slammed with snow and areas south of Memphis. And all that is working its way where? It's coming here. Bring it on. Because if you have 3 or 4 inches, maybe you pick up another 3 or 4. If you've only had 2 and you've got a lot of mix, maybe you pick up another 2 or 3 once it changes back. Because once it gets colder tonight, the warm tongue of air will disappear and it'll go back to snow. So it will ebb and flow like the tide at the ocean. I use that analogy quite a bit. But I want to see what your pictures are, because here's the snow. It's coming into town. I showed you this picture. This was taken by yours truly here in West Knox County at noon, just about 30 minutes ago. And I've got about 3. If I have a little table out there. So it's kind of interesting because some of you have had more than 3. Some of you have had a lot less than 3. I get that. That's part of the variability. As we take a look at the Ultimate Doppler Radar, presented by Madlock Tire Service and Auto Repair, serving East Tennessee now since 1953, over 70 years. You know they're doing something right. What do you see from this image? Now, granted, I can't always see on the radar the small flurries, because I know I'm sure it's snowing in Crossville, but it doesn't look like it is here. And I'm sure it's snowing in Jamestown, but it doesn't look like it's snowing much. It might be a lighter snow, or because it's further from the radar. Does that make sense? So again, the snow showers that are dark blue, and really centered in places like Jefferson County right now, might in fact change to a mix back toward Newport. There could be some winners and losers here, but that's how weather is. I use the analogy of like a, I don't know, like a Cracker Jack box when you're at the ballpark. You don't know what kind of prize is in there. Maybe it's a winner or a Happy Meal, right? You might be thrilled with the prize, or say, I'm not going to play with that. That's fine. You might not like what you're given, but I'm just the messenger. I want to check in, find out how you all are doing. Send me your pictures. I love the Captain Accurate mug. By the way, I do sell those, and all the proceeds for the mugs, T-shirts, do go to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society of Knoxville. So I've been doing that since, well, the last 5 years. Haven't sold a lot in the last couple of years because it was a fad for a while, but maybe you want to come back and buy in, you can do that. By the way, I'm on YouTube and Facebook at the same time. I see Dana Lynn says mix of sleet, she says, and snow in Maryville. Thank you for that update. Jasmine says really coming down in Maryville. This is the main course, right? You could say you got snow last night, but I doubt it looked like this. This is the main course, and last night was the appetizer. So last night, appetizer, main course right now. Once we get past 5 p.m., then we're going to move into dessert mode, where it's just hit and miss, and it's kind of maybe the intensity starts to trail off. That's what I expect. Nicole Martin says mix of wild in Jeff County, but now it's changed back to snow. It's going to ebb and flow. Thank you, Nicole, for verifying that. Sarah Rose says she's loving this. Let's have more. And Randy Williams in Rockwood has 4.5. Maybe we could double that for you. Wouldn't that be sweet? That's why I put the pluses on my forecast, because there's always variability. Whether you're in a valley or on a hilltop, that can vary too, because temperatures can play a role as well as the topography. But let me get back to the radar. Here it is. I want to go back and look at some of the pictures from you. If you have a picture, I'm going to hit refresh. I'd love to see what you're seeing on the the David Aldrich Weather Group, as I'm trying to refresh that. But there's where the snow is at this particular time. By the way, Madlock Tire Service and Auto Repair is, in fact, East Tennessee's #1 tire service and auto repair since 1953. They have locations in Knoxville, Maryville, Lenoir City, as well as Athens, McMinn County, and Hardin Valley. So check them out. They also do oil changes. Everybody needs an oil change every once in a while. Tell them Captain Accurate sent you. You might get a smile. They're very friendly, very friendly. Check them out. You'll love Madlock. Now, why would the mix be occurring to the east, but not so much to the west? Because it's colder to the west, not only at the surface, but more importantly, aloft. At 3,000, 5,000 feet, you get a little tongue of warm air. And that's why the mix is happening on the southeast side. It's why it's happening in Sevierville today. It's why it's happening in parts of Jefferson County, maybe Cott County too. And you might be pulling your hair out. Oh, it's ruined a snow day. Don't fret. You may not have as much as we had hoped, but again, I kept couching it with mixing possible. I'm not clairvoyant. I'm just the messenger. Can't tell you, well, it's going to be in this county at this particular time. It can change. But I can tell you this, temperature right now, 30 in Knoxville. My expectation is that we could hit 33 today, but right now it's 17 in Jamestown. They have barely moved all day today. 25 in Rockwood, where our buddy Randy is. And I see Connie Rogers, she says it's snowing in Corrigan right now. Starting to snow in Sevierville again. So there you go. Don't lose hope. Again, just for a little while, you get this tongue. Well, I'll show you what that looks like graphically here, but I'm more interested in seeing your pictures. So let's go ahead and take a look, a few more of these. Let's spin through here. I mentioned Felicia. I'm sure, if I come back on camera here, that maybe, let's see here, if we take a look at this full screen here, I can't take this full screen, yes, but we can move this along here and take a look at Howie's picture. I'm pretty sure Diane Babinski, there she is. She's got a video. She said, it's like a weird weather day. I'd say, yeah, it's a weird weather day. This is what she has in her backyard. It started snowing again. This is 24 minutes old. So you're getting some realistic pictures of Maryville on the screen right here. That's a video, that's snow, and she has some pictures at the bottom of the stills. But I love that. Thank you, Diane. That gives us a good idea of what Maryville has and how you might have more as the precipitation continues to pick up. I mentioned my picture. There it is, 3 inches and counting here in West Knox County. And you can see Diane's got the sleds. I love it, 31 minutes ago. I'm sure they're going to be flying off the shelves here in short order. She's talking about picking up sleds and snow shovels. And our friend Marilyn Bell, I believe she's down here at the bottom here. She's also got a picture up here. There she has. She says, I'm getting icy sleet here outside of White Pine on Highway 113. She writes, the roads are covered, and I'm sure it will become slick. So be extra careful. Joyce Anderson mentioned an hour ago, Maynardville Highway coming from Food City. She's got a picture here. I think I can blow it up. There it is. Maybe you see a little bit better. Some snow-covered roads. So please, if you don't have to be out, you might want to consider just staying in. Temperature right now, 30 in Knoxville, 32 in Sevierville, and it's 25 in Rockwood. I mentioned that just a moment ago. I'm looking at Pat Henry's comment. He says it's snowing hard in Maryville. Jacob Hatfield doesn't look great around New Tazewell. We have 4 inches, probably increasing. I think you are. You may exceed my earlier expectation, but at least you are prepared, hopefully, for the snow that's coming. And Marilyn Bell says, still sleeping here outside White Pine. She's ready for that. By the way, I'm also on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, let me know. I got Needed 97. He's got the mix. Oh dear. And Felicia's Crafty Adventures just called Knox County School Tuesday and Wednesday. There you go. Why would you go to school when the temperature is around 0 Wednesday morning? You wouldn't. Around 7 a.m. Wednesday morning, it could be around 0. Air temperature, not the wind chill, the air temperature. That makes sense to me that you would want to close school, and I'm glad to hear they're doing that. Steve Stone's got the good afternoon, happy face. Normally I don't do these in the afternoon. We're just having a dusting, says Jason and Stephanie Weiss. Hang in there. She's in Dandridge. It's probably where more mixing is taking place, but there's still the opportunity. Once it gets colder later this afternoon, you may see the change go right back to the flakes. It's just one of those things that are quite fluid and dynamic. We have a wind that's 3 miles an hour. It's not terribly windy. I wouldn't even describe today as blowing and drifting. Now, granted, if we had 10 to 20 mile an hour winds in Knoxville, you'd say there would be blowing and drifting, but that's not the case. And even though it's 30, it feels like 27. But hey, look, be thankful for small favors. At least it doesn't feel like 7 like it does right now in Oneida. If you're in Scott County, it feels like 7. And if you're in Jamestown at 12 noon, 12:37 to be precise, it feels like 11. 12 is the feels like temperature right now in Crossville, which begs the question, if we're getting up to 33, many of us won't even get out of the 20s, maybe I got out of the teens. Look at Jamestown, 20. Crossville, 25. Huge difference. In fact, if you get to 34 in Morristown, is it any wonder? I mean, they're a lot colder to the west. That snow will stick a little faster, but most of the moisture is developing in areas south and east. What to look for when we talk about the coming day and days, when we're talking about the extreme cold, is hypothermia. There's the word for the day. I had to look that one up. You know, it's the condition of having an abnormally low body temperature, typically one that's dangerously low. So what are the signs? If you or your loved ones, your kids or grandkids, have or are experiencing hypothermia, because we're going to go towards 0 by Wednesday morning, you might have confusion, you might have shivering, difficulty speaking, sleepiness, or stiff muscles. And this comes by way of our friends at NOAA. I thought it would be a good thing to share, just some things you might want to be on the lookout for. If you're starting to shiver, you might have signs of hypothermia. So please be extra careful. It's not something to take lightly. It's not kind of really, I mean, you're talking temperatures near 0 and for hours. So it's not going to be easy. It's going to put a lot of stress on your furnace, on your heating, all the things that come with winter we've got to deal with here in the short term. And that's why I spent exceedingly a long time this morning on stopping distance, stopping time, driving, winter driving safety. We talked about precipitation types because I knew we'd have a little bit of that. And also staying warm when the power's out. There are tips too that NOAA likes to share. Closing your blinds is not a bad thing. You keep the heat in if you lose power. Close off the rooms to avoid wasting heat. And how about wearing layers of loose-fitting, lightly warm clothing? It's also important to eat and drink. Food provides energy to warm the body, but avoid caffeine and alcohol if you want to stay warm if the power should go out. I'm not saying it will go out, but I'm just trying to give you some tips from our friends at NOAA. And stuffed towels along the cracks, or rags. Towels or rags in the cracks under the doors. Those are tips that you can take to make sure that you're warm this winter. Because it might not be just this go-around, because we'll have multiple events going into later January and certainly February. But I want to see some more pictures from you. Send them to me because I love to share them. I'm going to hit refresh here and see what you might share with me on the David Aldrich Weather Group. That's one of the things I'm looking at more specifically. How about frozen pipes? Have any of you thought about that yet? Because if it gets down to 0, that's when we really have the setup for pipes to freeze. And the setup is pretty easy. Frigid temperatures typically near or below 20. And for some of you in the plateau, you don't have far to go. You're probably almost already there. That's what has us concerned about the frozen pipes. This is really something helpful. Household hazard. Cold air can cause pipes to the exterior walls to freeze. And when water expands, when frozen, the pipes can burst from the expansion. And that can be a real problem. Based on this diagram, you can kind of see what that might look like. Factors to consider are the outside temperature, the direct exposure to the cold for the pipes, and the effectiveness of your wall insulation. So that's where things maybe set things up. But as far as what you can do, if you're way ahead of the game, is have a pipe sleeve installed. You can have that also. Adds insulation to the cold-prone areas. That's one thing to do. But many of us like to just open the cabinetry doors. This is free. It doesn't cost you anything to open the cabinets, help warm the pipes underneath the kitchen sink, open them up, and let the air in. That's one thing you can certainly do. Take that into account. Also, what you can do is drip the faucets. That's another step that you can take to allow cold water to drip from the faucets, because we're going to be doing that. We'll be doing that in the Aldrich household in the days to come, and that might be starting tonight and especially tomorrow night into Wednesday morning when we head toward zero. Oh boy. Okay, check in this with you. Other notes. I see Melissa Mumpowers. She says, bless you, David. Thank you for keeping us safe. My pleasure. Thank you for being on YouTube and on Facebook. Kelly says, good afternoon. MacArthur Douglas says, Knox County schools are closed Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm encouraged to hear that. And Judy says, happy dance, lots of snow coming in my section of Sevierville, like my Cracker Jack box. LOL. Thank you. I'm glad you like my analogy. I could use the Forrest Gump chocolate idea, but you know what I mean. You never know what you're going to get. Sarah Rose says, snowing hard in Russellville. We got snowing hard in Russellville. So I want to stay ahead of the game, right? Talking about frozen pipes. It's what all the folks are going to be talking about, if not tonight, on the news or on the radio. What do you do? Well, we drip the faucets. Oh, and what about this? What about the spigot? The spigot covering? Oh yeah, we want to detach that garden hose, because the covered, you want to basically remove, drain, and store any of your outdoor hoses. That, if you can manage going out in the snow now to do that, do it now before it gets down to the single digits. That might be another prevention tip that you say, score one for Captain Accurate. I'm glad I knew that. So just to recap on the pipes, how to avoid, remove, drain, and store your outdoor hoses. Consider a pipe sleeve or consider type of insulation for the exposed pipes. Let the water drip the faucets, and open the kitchen and bathroom cabinets. And if you're going to leave the house, don't leave the house lower than 55 degrees. That's the expert's opinion. I can concur that that's probably a wise idea. Not that you'd want to be in your house at 55, but some people leave their home and they go someplace else. Don't leave it lower than 55. All right, let's get back to the radar, right? There's all the radar. I want to see what some of your pictures are. I'm still looking at. Look at Kathy Muller. She had that cool Captain Accurate mug with the snow. Any new pictures? Share them with me. Go ahead and upload it on the David Aldrich Weather group. Anyone can post if you're in the group. It's actually melting. I got another note here from, looks like Marilyn Bell. She's got a little bit of snow. Certainly not as much as I've seen in West Knox County, but Marilyn is noticing it's actually melting in White Pine. So she's seeing a little bit of that. Temperature's a little warmer there, as we talked about. And the sidewalk. You can see the sidewalk doesn't have quite as much snow on it. Maybe she's brushed it off. I don't know, but it looks like it's just beginning to take shape in White Pine. And as I mentioned, maybe about an inch or so around, say, Del Rio. That was about an hour ago, I believe about an hour ago from her post. Yeah, an hour ago. And it was a weird weather day, now showing up signs of in Maryville from Diane Babinski. If you have a picture, love to see it. Look at the snow here. It's all beginning to form. Back into the west, Winchester, Soddy Daisy, we've got more reinforcements. And this snow has changed over in some cases. But notice the pink. It's starting to shrink. It's not gone entirely, but look how much wider it was just an hour ago. So if you can see that it's going to ebb and flow. It's not going to stay constant. But again, once it gets a little later in the afternoon, some of that warm air at 2,000 or 3,000 feet will suddenly disappear. So have I changed my forecast? The answer is no. I don't like to grade a forecast until the event's over. No more than you declare a victor at a football game at halftime. It's like you haven't played the second half yet. Wait till and then you can go back and look at the film. We'll study the film. What did you do right or wrong? That's what I'll do. That's how I get better. And that's why I appreciate your support. But I do think there's still that potential. Maybe you're on the lower end of the total range here if you're in White Pine. Maybe you're closer to 3 or 4. Whereas the potential, you have enough precip. Had it been all snow, you would have maybe closer to the 8. But there could be closer to 4 to 8 or even 8 in places like Hardin Valley, Solway, Oak Ridge, or even Loudon, because you've got about 4.5 already in Rockwood from our buddy Randy. So we'll have to wait and see, and I'm sure there's going to be some locally higher amounts. This is why it's doing the mix. A little wedge of warm air and the sleet, maybe more freezing rain, but sleet has been really the big issue with the icy pellets, and that will dramatically drop the total accumulation. It just naturally does. It's like putting a fork in it. It's done in some cases until the snow comes back. And we're hopeful that the snow will come back in many cases, as you can see illustrated here. The freezing temperatures are cold enough from top to bottom for snow, but when it's sleet, there's a little wedge, just a little wedge of warm air that allows the snow to melt and become little icy pellets. There's no fun. There's little icy pellets. You get a lot of it. It's like having Epsom salt. You know what Epsom salt is like? It's like walking through Epsom salt. That's not fun. That's where you're dealing with snow and sleet. You don't want that, but that's what we're going to see in some parts of the viewing area, no doubt. Looking at some pictures, I got another one from Felicia. She's got one in South Knoxville. Love this. Let's play the video. There it is. Ooh, it's coming down now in South Knoxville. Isn't that what she said? She did say that. I love it. Let's see if I can make it a little bit bigger. See if oh, maybe it is. There it is. Maybe it's a little easier to see there. But she's got the snow coming down in South Knoxville. Streets are snow covered. I can see that. Maybe you can see that too. But it's certainly coming down at this particular hour. How about how's your midday looking so far? I'm checking some notes here. Judy Kerr. Now she was doing a snow dance back in August when we were counting the fogs. You remember that, Judy? Judy's one of my premium members. She says Rutledge has had about 4.5 inches on the ground. Roads are really bad. Be safe. Stay home. Thank you, Judy. Now, not everybody's had 4.5 inches, but she's had it in Rutledge. So how much have you had? Post it in the comments section. I'd love to see it. Kelly says someone said here in Crossville they've had 6 inches already. It's still snowing. It's going to keep coming. Like I said, there's always going to be locally higher amounts. But if we get the mixing, and there's our video. Uh-oh. I got a different video on there. But we'll get this back on here. Let's go back to the other scene here. Let's see here. There we go. I didn't know I had my audio on there, but there you go. But anyway, the Facebook pictures that are coming in, very much appreciated because it gives us a visual of what you're seeing. And that's what this is all about. Let's go back on some other comments here. I see Andy says he's got 3.5 inches in Dutch Valley. Dustin McLean says, how much accumulation for Greenville you thinking? I still think you're in that 4 to 8. Just depends on when this thing finally tapers off tonight. Because remember how I showed you the pink was shrinking? The mixing is shrinking. It's only 12:47. You could get a couple more hours where it goes back to snow, and you might be in that range of 4 to 8. Maybe on the high end, maybe on the low end, but certainly it is a possibility. It's raining again in Seymour. The sad face from Jamie. Carla Jackson says she's got 3.5 inches in Piedmont, still coming down. Now, here's one of the things. And I see we have about 6 inches in Talbot, says Brandon Driver. Here's what's going to happen. Somebody will wait to the very end and say, hey, I only got this much. But maybe you got 2 or 3 inches from the appetizer, and then you got the main event, and then the mix coming in. How often are you measuring it? And are you measuring it accurately? Like you don't wait till it's all pushed up against the garage door where you get an artificial reading. You want something that's on a flat surface, and you want to measure it maybe in 3 spots and take the average. So those are things, little tips that you can take into account when you're talking about the measurement of snow. But I do appreciate all the input that's coming in. Some of us are dealing with freezing rain, sadly, because of the warmer air is more abundant and maybe freezing on contact. So when we look at the precipitation types, it's going to be snow for most, but in some cases it's already mixing and maybe making a sad face out of you because you were hoping for it to be a clear-cut situation. I have always maintained that this was going to have a mixing element to this forecast. It was on the banner of my forecast at the top, mixing possible. And so many of us are seeing that now. Here's how things look like from this point forward. It's 12:50, well, 12:49, and you can see this snow continues to pour in for the next couple of hours. There's 3 p.m., right? 3:15. There's still some pink and mixing in Huntsville, and there's some probably more mixing along the higher elevations. And there may still be in Greenville. We'll have to wait and see. But the heavier snows in dark blue at 3:15 are still centered around Knoxville. Then you start to see it wane in Cookeville and perhaps Crossville by 5. Now you're still seeing some mix to the south. This low, based on where its placement in western North Carolina, swings some cold air back around. It gets dark. The sun is at a lower angle, and some of that mixing may disappear. And now, by 11 o'clock tonight, now I call these leftover snow showers, right? Because it's probably stopped in Oneida. It's all done in Crossville, and it's all done in Jamestown, and maybe done in La Follette. But a few lingering snow showers at 11 o'clock tonight may still be holding on, and that's what I call the dessert. That's what's left over. It's like the junior mint that you leave with the check, right? You're trying to check out of the restaurant. You've had dessert. Now the last of the flakes, there's 12:30, a little surge. And you may get another ½ inch to an inch there. So like I said, you cannot grade this forecast at halftime. You just can't. I mean, you will, but I'm not. I'm not going to grade it until it's over. And then when it's over, I'll say, how much did you get? And we'll know officially what McGee Tyson gets. But if you keep records and you're measuring it throughout the day, you might get 2 inches, and then sleet and freezing rain come away, and they wash a ½ inch away, and you bring in another ½ inch later tonight. It's one of those types of fluid situations where that's, just because you lost a ½ inch to the mix doesn't mean you didn't get it. Does that make sense? I know that sounds kind of strange, but it is what it is. Snowflakes pull away tomorrow morning. I think the winter weather, or the winter storm warning is over at 7 a.m. And the flakes will probably be long gone before then and holding tough around the Smokies. The Smokies might get still a few flakes after 7 a.m. tomorrow. And there it goes by midday, and then it's totally gone. And that's when the free fall takes place, Tuesday night into Wednesday, because that's when we'll be headed back down to about 0 degrees. I think it could be sub-zero in many parts of the area because of the snowpack. And this is where the Futurecast takes the mix, right? There's Greenville. You're on the edge at 145. It looks like it's still mixing around Sevierville at 145. And Tellico Plains, also a mix. But if you're in Knoxville proper, like downtown at, say, Market Square, maybe if you're hanging out near Neyland Stadium or just walking around, you're going to still see some snow. And it pushes the mix mainly to the far south and east. But I still think it's snowing in the McGee-Tice Airport where the records are kept. And that's where the snow at 4 o'clock. This is just how this model sees it. Dark blue, 5 o'clock. And notice it's pretty much done in Jamestown and Oneida first. The flakes stop first in the northwest. But it's still snowing tonight at 8 o'clock where there still could be some sleet. There could still be some sleet and some freezing rain in those pink areas. So it's Kingston. You might get a little bit of sleet there in northern Sevier County, where it's been mostly southern Sevier County. It's the way the cookie crumbles. It's the way the snowflake falls. And then by midnight, it's still snowing in Knoxville, but maybe not Oak Ridge. And you could pick up another ½ inch to an inch an hour. I mean, this is just where it pulls away. Finally, now start measuring. How much did you get? How much did you get? Start doing it tomorrow morning. You can measure that. Certainly give us an idea. I'd love to know what you get. But temperatures tomorrow, be lucky to get to 24 at noon, finishing the day about 28. But look at these numbers. I'm going to take you all the way to 7 a.m. Wednesday. 7 a.m. Wednesday, I believe we're down to 0. Yeah, there it is. -1 in Oak Ridge, -2 in Kingston, and -2 in Athens. So the thicker your snowpack, it's going to work against you. You will be super, super cold by the time you start Wednesday morning. That's why I wanted to talk about hypothermia. That's why I wanted to talk about frozen pipes, because someone is going to have an issue, if not at, say, 6 or 7 a.m. on Wednesday, when it starts to warm back up in the 40s on Thursday. And then you have this burst of disappointment, because it can be very traumatic to have burst pipes in your home. No question about that. Just checking in to see where you guys are on the pictures. I love the pictures that you've been sending. And I see some other comments here. I want to come back over here real quickly. Melissa says 5 inches in North Halls and still coming down. Thank you, Melissa. Love that. Some other notes here. Let's see if we get to the other group here. We go back to see that. And then we see Michael Norman. Is this considered a southern slider? Absolutely. Southern system coming in between Chattanooga and Atlanta. This is it. Now, it may not be perfect because the coldest of air isn't all here for everybody, but it's cold enough to be snow in many parts of the area, that's for sure. Jill Ritchie sending me some stars, just very kind. And I see Pete says the snow dragon is resting up. He's resting up the snow dragon for tomorrow's driveway. So I am LOL. He is excited about that. Kelly says my husband's birthday is today. Kelly, happy birthday to your hubby, and hope you all stay safe. I got over 4 inches in Morristown, says Amy Humphrey May. Thank you for that update, Amy. And Melissa talked about 5 inches of snow. Now, there's going to be some snow envy. I know some of you are going to go, I wouldn't get that because you had too much mixing, right? I think if there was no mixing, we would have had some isolated 10s and 11s. There's no doubt. You're talking about 0.9 to an inch of liquid. 0.9 to an inch of liquid is falling. Now, most of it is snow. And if it were on a 10 to 1 ratio, you'd be looking at 9 or 10 inches, just like that. But because it's mixing, it might be 4 to 8. Does that make sense? Hopefully it is. All right, weather group. I got another note. Crystal Fancher says she's at 10 a.m. At 12:30. She's gone from 2 inches to what looks like 4. Crystal, thank you for those great pictures. She's got some, I don't know if it's easier to see on the front screen here. I think we can do that. But certainly the picture that she's sharing does suggest that we're getting some snow in other parts. Let me see, come back on camera here. There it is. She's got 2 inches on the 10:30 picture. That's here. And then a little closer view at 12:30 in Morristown. She's got about 4. So I love that. We'll go maybe zoom in on the 4. There it is. That might be easier to see, but she's got 4 inches. Thank you, Crystal. That's awesome. Glad to be able to see that, see those pictures, because that's one of the things that makes it fun to be able to see what's going on in terms of the weather. As we looked at the forecast, I haven't got to the nuts and bolts yet, but let's get to the rest of it. Futurecast takes us about 18 by the time we get closer to midday on Wednesday. So Martin Luther King Day, I still think we might approach 33. I know we've hit 30. So there is still a wiggle room of maybe a couple of degrees, but not much more. And that means that if we stay below freezing all day, then so be it. I can tell you this as I look at the, we've hit 31 officially, and they've hit 33 in Chattanooga. So 31 is the official high so far at McGee-Tyson, and Oak Ridge has only hit 28. So we're going to be pretty close. Many of us will stay maybe just shy of freezing today. And if you're in the plateau, well, forget about it. You don't get out of the 20s. La Follette, 25. 25 Crossville, about 34 for Morristown, and 38 potentially for Newport. But the high temperatures today in Nashville and Jackson, upper teens, and sadly that cold air will be here tomorrow morning. I'm expecting a low of 17 tonight, snow with some mixed showers. They will linger, and it will be colder than it was this morning. Lows about 7 tonight in Crossville. Sorry, Kelly. It's going to be cold for you in Cumberland County. 14 in Oak Ridge. If we drop to 9 in Oneida, wouldn't surprise me. So we will have some single digits for parts of the viewing area, primarily the Smoky, primarily a plateau. It will actually be milder in many parts of the foothills. Tops of the Smokies might be much colder, but 18 for Newport. Looking for a low tonight in Sevierville at 16 and 17 degrees in Maryville. As we're getting closer to 1 o'clock, I'm just about wrapped up, but I want to show you the Captain Accurate Weather Authority forecast for the rest of today and into tomorrow. 28 high temperature Tuesday. There's the 0. That's when I think many of us are going to be concerned about pipes, because we're going to go from 0 to 42 in a period of about 24 to 36 hours, from about 7 a.m. Wednesday to about maybe 2 or 3 in the afternoon on Thursday. We're back in the low 40s with the anticipation of another rain-snow maker. Some models have it all snow. Some models have it half rain, half snow, and so it goes. So if you like the mix, some of us are like, I don't like the mix. We'll have to fine-tune it. Another reason to join us on the Captain Accurate Premium side, because these updates will come in periodically, very frequently to that side. We'd love to have you join us. It's only $4.99 a month. You say, why would I pay for a forecast? I can get it anywhere for free. Well, you get what you pay for. You might not get the information that you want. I have a lot of premium members who have been with me now for over a year, and they like the fact they can see what's going on weeks in advance. We do talk about the extended forecast. 7 degrees, low temperatures this weekend. So if you get used to 0, keep in mind, Saturday morning, Sunday morning will also be in the single digits. My Captain Accurate Premium side on Facebook is the first to see my snow forecast. You can hit the subscribe button at the top of the page, or simply go to CaptainAccurate.com. You'll find this URL. It's like getting 2 streams of information on the same Facebook page. Yeah, you can always sample us, come in for a couple of days or weeks, and then you can cancel anytime if you so choose. But a lot of folks that like it there, they also get access to my winter weather outlook, which really came out before Halloween, and I talked about all the variables I thought would happen this winter. And I can tell you this, I think I'm a lot higher. My expectation was a lot higher than everybody else in town. And if you don't believe me, just ask any one of the premium members. They know, they understand where I was and why I was thinking what I was thinking. So if we're going to get 4, 6, 8 inches of snow for some of us this go around, that will bust. A lot of winter weather outlooks that they had for the whole winter was busted in one event. And there's more events still to come. So that's why I want to say you get what you pay for. And hopefully you'll join us, because I think you'll be impressed with what we're doing. And OES, just a little cautionary tale. If you're on the roads and have to be on the roads, make sure you get a winter emergency kit. Batteries, blankets, car battery, and cat litter for traction might be one of the things to put on your checklist. Having a first aid kit in the car, also very helpful. And make sure people know where you're going, because if you get stranded in your vehicle, you probably want some water and some snacks. You want something to stay warm. A blanket would go very handy at that time. As we've mentioned this morning, just to recap, if you have to drive, make sure you check the Captain Accurate Weather app prior to travel. Make sure you check your tire pressure and your gas tank, and make sure people know where you are at all times. Because having an emergency supply kit, as mundane as that may sound, it can really come in handy, especially if you're not comfortable on the roads, and they're going to be pretty dicey, I think, for the next 24 to 36 hours or more, till the crews can get ahead of what's going on the side roads. Those can be very treacherous for sure. Anyway, thank you so much for your time. It is now after 1 o'clock, about 1 o'clock. Jacob Hatfield says, just looked out my window. He says, we're up to 5 to 6 inches in New Tazewell. Think about the elevation. I'm not surprised in hindsight, but Jacob, thank you for that update. And I see Renee Hunter says 3.5 here in South Knoxville. You are adding it up. There it goes. And Sylvia Miller says about 4 to 5 in West Knoxville. And a hot chocolate kind of day. I like that, Kelly. I think we'll end on that. Hot chocolate. Hot chocolate. Maybe it's the Polar Express that's coming out of me. Anyway, I won't sing that. But anyway, you're excited too about winter. I've had a chance to go out in the snow with the dog and throw a Frisbee. So that's been, to me, the joy of just having a winter storm. Anyway, my name is David Aldrich. I'll keep you posted. We'll do another of these tonight if need be. Probably will do one tonight, probably around 8:30. So check in on Facebook, and I'll have updates for this new 7-day a little bit later today. My name is David Aldrich. Some people call me Captain Accurate. Not easy being accurate, so weather doesn't surprise you. We'll see you here next time. Take care.